Ever feel like you're drowning in distractions? Emails, notifications,
Yeah.
open offices designed to make you talk more than think?
Right.
It's enough to make anyone crave a little focused silence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's exactly where we're diving in today, exploring Cal Newport's deep work
Okay.
and why it's become such a sought-after skill in our hyper-connected world.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is.
The more we value instant communication and constant connectivity,
Yeah.
the more elusive that state of deep, focused work seems to become.
Right.
And yet, as Newport argues,
Mm.
it's precisely this kind of work that leads to true innovation and mastery.
He makes a compelling case, that's for sure. Right off the bat, he throws you into the deep end, pun intended,
Sure.
with the story of Jason Ben. This guy went from being just another face in the financial world to a coding whiz at a top Silicon Valley startup.
Wow.
And dup work was his secret weapon.
Interesting.
Imagine going from browsing the internet 98% of your day to coding circles around everyone else.
Ben's story is a powerful example of how focusing intensely on a cognitively demanding skill can lead to remarkable results, and quickly.
Yeah.
It really highlights the idea that deep work isn't just about clocking in hours.
Right.
It's about reaching a level of concentration where you're pushing your cognitive limits and producing truly valuable output.
That's what struck me, too. It's not just about speed. It's about the quality of work that emerges from those focused sessions.
Absolutely.
But Ben's story also made me wonder
Yeah.
how many of us can actually pull off what he did.
Right.
He basically went off the grid, no computer,
Wow.
just textbooks and pure concentration for months.
That's the paradox that Newport highlights so well.
Right.
This kind of deep work is most valuable in our modern economy.
Yeah,
Yet our work culture often makes it feel impossible to achieve.
exactly.
Open offices, constant emails, the pressure to be always on.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for distraction.
It's like we're all caught in this metric black hole, as Newport calls it, where the easy-to-measure metrics of emails sent and meetings attended overshadow the harder-to-quantify value of deep, focused work.
Exactly. And the irony is that some of the most innovative companies and individuals from the past,
Mm,
think Bell Labs in its heyday, or even Carl Jung retreating to his writing tower,
right.
actively sought out environments that minimize distraction and maximize focus. They understood the power of disconnecting to truly connect with their work.
So somewhere along the way, we've bought into this idea that constant connection equals more creativity and productivity,
Right.
when in reality, it might be holding us back from our true potential.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Because you hear all the time about serendipitous creativity in these open office spaces.
Right.
But is that really how the magic happens?
That's the question Newport challenges us to consider.
Right.
While those chance encounters can spark initial ideas,
Sure.
he argues that true innovation, the kind that leads to breakthroughs,
Yes.
requires the deep, focused work that transforms those sparks into something truly valuable.
It's that next level, right?
It's like the difference between sketching a rough draft and meticulously crafting a masterpiece. One might be quicker, but the other requires a level of dedication and focus that leads to a whole different level of output.
Right.
It makes you wonder, are we sacrificing quality for the sake of speed and constant connection?
Yeah, are we?
And if so, what's the cost?
It really is a question worth considering, isn't it?
It is.
What are we sacrificing in this constant pursuit of connectivity?
Yeah.
Because Newport argues that deep work isn't just about productivity.
Right.
It's about something deeper, more fulfilling.
You're right. He connects deep work to this almost spiritual sense of purpose,
Right.
drawing parallels to the world of craftsmanship.
Okay.
The story about the swordsmith, Rick Furr, really brings this to life.
Absolutely.
You've seen him work firsthand, haven't you?
I have. It's incredible.
The way Furr describes shaping metal with those ancient techniques. Right.
The sheer focus it demands. It's
Oh.
almost meditative.
It is.
And it connects him to something larger than himself.
Yeah.
A lineage of craftsmanship that stretches back centuries.
It's not just about the swords themselves.
No.
It's about the process.
Yeah.
The dedication to mastering a craft.
It's about the work.
It sounds almost transcendent.
Exactly. And Newport argues that this sense of meaning and purpose,
Okay.
this deep satisfaction that comes from concentrating intensely on a challenging task,
Yeah.
isn't limited to traditional craftsmen.
Right.
It's something we can all access,
Okay.
even in our modern knowledge work.
So you don't need to be forging swords to find that sense of purpose.
Right.
You just need to approach your work with the same level of focus and dedication.
Exactly.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
It is. And it explains why Newport titled his book Deep work.
Ah.
Rules for focused success in a distracted world.
Okay.
He's arguing that deep work isn't just a productivity hack.
Right.
It's a pathway to a more fulfilling life.
Interesting.
And there's some fascinating science to back this up.
Okay.
He talks about the work of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi and the concept of flow,
Right.
that state of complete absorption in a challenging task.
Right. The flow state. I've definitely experienced that feeling of being completely in the zone
Yeah,
where time seems to disappear and you're totally immersed in what you're doing.
right.
It's almost addictive.
It is addictive in a good way.
Right.
And neuroscientifically, it makes sense.
Okay.
Our brains are wired to reward us for focusing deeply on challenging tasks. It's how we evolved to master complex skills and solve difficult problems.
So that's why when we're constantly bouncing between emails and social media and these shallow tasks,
Right.
it's like we're denying our brains the deep satisfaction that comes from concentrating on something truly challenging.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Newport connects this lack of focus to the anxiety and unhappiness many people experience in the modern world.
Okay.
It's not just about being more productive, it's about living a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Okay. I'm convinced.
Okay.
Deep work is the key.
Okay.
But how do we actually achieve it?
Right.
I mean, the swordsmith has his forge,
Right.
but for the rest of us, the real world is full of distractions.
Sure.
Newport does offer some pretty radical strategies, though.
He does.
Like the grand gesture. He talks about J.K. Rowling checking into a 5-star hotel to finish writing Harry Potter because she needed that extreme level of focus.
Right.
That's great if you're J.K. Rowling,
Right.
but what about those of us with regular jobs and budgets?
Right.
Am I supposed to book a luxury suite every time I need to write a report?
It doesn't have to be that extravagant.
Okay.
The principle behind the grand gesture is to create an environment specifically designed for deep work.
Okay.
It's about making a conscious commitment to focus.
Right.
And signaling to your brain that this is deep work time.
So it's about creating rituals and spaces that minimize distractions and prime your mind for deep work.
Right.
Like designating a deep work room in your house, or even just closing your office door and putting on noise-canceling headphones.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with your environment and setting yourself up for success.
Right.
And Newport has some other fascinating strategies for cultivating deep work in the midst of our distracted lives.
One that I found surprisingly relatable was productive meditation.
Okay.
As someone who paces while thinking, I can totally get behind this one.
It's such a simple yet powerful idea.
It is.
It's about taking those times when you might normally zone out,
Right.
like walks, commutes, even showering,
Yeah.
and turning them into opportunities for active problem solving.
So instead of letting your mind wander aimlessly,
Great.
you're giving it a specific problem to chew on, letting it work through the complexities while you go about your day.
Exactly. You're essentially turning downtime into thinking time. And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room when it comes to distractions.
You mean our good friend, the internet?
The one and only.
Of course.
Newport doesn't advocate for a complete digital detox,
Right.
but he does challenge us to be more intentional about our online lives.
Right. He talks about this craftsman approach to technology, which really resonated with me.
It's about ruthlessly evaluating the tools we use
Right.
and asking ourselves if they're truly serving our goals or just adding to the digital noise.
Right.
He even suggests a 30-day social media packing party,
Okay.
hiding your accounts for a month to see what you actually miss.
I love that idea. It's like decluttering your digital workspace, only keeping the tools that truly make a difference, and for everything else,
Yeah.
out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. It's about aligning your technology with your goals, not the other way around.
Right.
And on a similar note, Newport talks about the importance of scheduling downtime.
This is something I struggle with. I feel like I should be on all the time,
Yeah.
but I know taking breaks is important.
It's not just about resting and recharging.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
about enhancing our ability to work deeply when we are focused.
Okay.
Newport talks about the internet Sabbath, disconnecting for a full day.
Right.
But I know that's not realistic for everyone.
Definitely not for me. But I like his idea of shutdown rituals. What did you think about that concept?
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
It's so easy to let work bleed into our personal lives,
it is.
especially in our always connected world.
Right.
But having a deliberate process for ending the workday can make a huge difference.
Right.
Newport suggests reviewing your tasks,
Well,
making a plan for the next day,
right.
and even having a phrase you say
Okay.
to signal to your brain that it's officially quitting time.
I love that idea of a shutdown phrase. It's
Yeah.
like a mental power button,
Right.
switching off the work brain and allowing yourself to fully relax and recharge.
And it's not just about feeling less stressed in the evenings.
Okay.
Newport argues that these shutdown rituals are crucial for priming our unconscious minds
Okay.
to continue working on our most challenging problems,
Interesting.
even when we're not actively thinking about them.
That's fascinating. So while we're sleeping or relaxing, our brains are still chipping away at those complex tasks in the background.
Exactly. It's like
Wow.
giving your subconscious the space it needs to do its best work.
This whole deep dive has been incredibly insightful.
It has. It has.
But to be honest, it's also a little daunting.
Yeah.
The thought of restructuring my entire life around deep work feels
Well,
intense.
the key is to remember that deep work is a skill.
Okay.
And like any skill, it takes practice.
Right.
Don't try to change everything overnight.
Right.
Start small.
Okay.
Maybe just carve out 1 hour tomorrow, completely free from distractions,
Okay.
and dedicate it to your most important task.
Okay.
See how it feels.
Okay.
You might be surprised by what your mind can accomplish when you give it the freedom to go deep.
That's great advice.
Yeah,
Start small, build the habit, and watch the results unfold.
there you go.
It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Thanks for diving deep into deep work with me today. This has been eye-opening, and I'm definitely feeling inspired to reclaim some of that deep focus in my own life.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the most important step is the next one. So go forth and create something amazing.
That's great advice for all of us. And thank you all for listening.